What? Bang!
Whoa! Wrestling Podcast. Just when they think they got the answers, I change the question.
Rep screwed rep.
Yeah.
Woo!
Who are you to doubt El Dandy? Because this guy's a serious professional.
Did he do it? Unbelievable.
Too hot to handle and too cold to hold. And I am Macho King Savage.
Shut your mouth, you thong-wearing fatty. I said WWE stands for...
It's me, Austin. I will never retire.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, welcome to the show where we don't sing it, we bring it. Help us out and click subscribe to show your support. Are you sick and tired of dropping $60 to $100 for the latest and greatest wrestling video game? Stop immediately. Go to Wrestler Unstoppable, available exclusively through Facebook. Create a wrestler, sign contracts, get into storylines, headline PLEs, even build your own corporation from the ground up, all included in Wrestler Unstoppable, available now to all Facebook users totally free. If you want to become a member of the Pro Wrestling Podcast family, want your name in the shout-outs like my good buddy John down in Texas. John, always love giving you that shout-out. John and I are in the middle of putting together a multiple-part Patreon exclusive multi-episode offering for our Patreon members, that you can do that too. We have loyalty rewards. John been a loyal follower for many, many years. If you want to get on the action, go to patreon.com/Pro Wrestling Podcast. Sign up today. We have loyalty rewards. $15 a month contributors. You get to co-host a show with myself. If you pay $7.50 a month, enter into a drawing to also host a show with myself. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. If you've got questions, comments, something you want us to touch on, I don't know, something coming up in the news that we didn't get to tonight, give us a shout. Give us a call, Pro Wrestling Sound Off line 267-642-1160. We will get to those questions, comments, concerns, or whatever you want to talk to in a future episode. Tonight, we have so much to cover. We're going to bounce all over the place here. There's been so much going on in the professional wrestling world. Since our last episode, I've been quite crazy busy in my world, so I apologize for not getting something out to you sooner, but let's just reflect back on the last week and a half or so. We had Crown Jewel come through down in Perth, Australia. We see Seth Rollins exercise his demons by defeating Cody Rhodes in the men's Crown Jewel Championship match. We see Stephanie Vaquer win the women's match. We see what, in my opinion, is a candidate for match of the year between AJ Styles and John Cena. Like, the whole card, top to bottom, was relatively solid. I thought it was far better than WrestlePalooza that came out a few weeks prior. I thought this was exactly what it needed to be. And now we can wait another year for that Crown Jewel Championship belt to go away into storage somewhere in Saudi Arabia before we pull that back out next year. After that, let's get into what's happened since. Let's talk about something that gets overlooked. In New Japan Pro Wrestling, there's some people who don't follow New Japan as much as they should, and they're missing out on some really incredible action. But at New Japan Pro Wrestling's King of Pro Wrestling event on October 13th, yesterday, the Alpha earned his shot by winning the G1 Climax tournament. If you don't know who the Alpha is, it's AEW star Konosuke Takeshita. He earned his shot, and he cashed in his shot. And in theory, most guys wait till Wrestle Kingdom to cash in their championship opportunity against the current IWGP champion. Konosuke Takeshita decided that he was not waiting. He wanted to challenge for the World Championship on the 13th at King of Pro Wrestling against Zack Sabre Jr. And in an incredible matchup, Konosuke Takeshita is the new IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. And it doesn't stop there, because after the match, you had Takeshita on the mic talking some trash, basically calling out anyone to come out and face him And the person who's going to answer the call is Hiroki Goto, who is a former IWGP champion who's been off filming Street Fighter just like Cody Rhodes and Batista have been. And he comes back and he is going to be the first person to challenge Konosuke Takeshita. And that match is going to take place in November. It's not going to wait for Wrestle Kingdom. So it'll be curious to see how that plays out. And then how do we play things out going forward all the way through Wrestle Kingdom? I think we have a good idea who Hiroshi Tanahashi is going to be facing at that show, but we're still waiting to see who Takeshita is going to be going against defending this world championship, assuming he's still champion at that time. I really would have expected it to be Tanahashi, but they set up a different angle earlier in the evening for the global championship for him. So I don't think that they're going to go that direction, even though I think that would have been the best way to send him off. You have him against Takeshita, not a homegrown New Japan Pro Wrestling guy. You could have given him the IWGP Championship and let him ride off into the sunset as champion. I think it would have been a great send-off. Not obviously the plans they have. He's going to challenge for the Global Championship. I hope he wins it. Just because he's never held that, I don't believe in, and, he can go off into the sunset anyways. But I would have loved to have seen him get the IWGP Championship just one more time before he hangs up the boots. Let's go into some other conversation for the day. Ridge Holland's in the news today. He hurt himself over at a TNA wrestling show in a match with Moose. He's been injured since. He's going to be on the shelf another 6, 7, 8 months, supposedly. And word came out today. He announced that they are not renewing his contract at WWE. The Fightful Select has further details out there. Apparently, Holland was offered a new contract with WWE, but they were going to downgrade his pay, taking him from a main roster contract level down to the NXT level, basically because he is not somebody they feel like is main roster ready. The estimates that I'm seeing on their report are about $200,000 less per year, or less than his previous deal, and he wasn't offered any extra pay for working TNA shows, and it's something apparently he was not interested in. So now they are going to let him walk. And this, look, no matter how you feel about Ridge Holland, there's some people who harbor ill will because he's the guy who broke Big E's neck. I think accidents happen, so I don't harbor any ill feelings towards him for that. But what some people are talking about is much more pressing is the WWE letting somebody go. Now, apparently they're still going to cover his rehab from his in-ring injury, but that's it. They're not going to be paying him throughout the duration of his injury, which pre-COVID, that kind of was the modus operandi for WWE. But now it looks like TKO, they're going to leave a guy sit there for 6 to 7 months who has no source of income due to an injury sustained in the ring in a contractual match that was negotiated by them in this TNA WWE NXT deal. And now he's just going to sit home and not be able to draw an income. Now, hopefully, with the kind of money he was making on a main roster deal, hopefully he'll be able to take care of himself and sustain himself for that period of time. I don't know what other endeavors he's a part of or can become a part of, but other talents are said to be very concerned about this approach to letting a talent go and letting their contract expire, especially when they're injured, because let's face it, these guys put their lives on the line every time they step into the ring, and if this is how TKO is going to handle the loss of an injured superstar who they don't want to keep investing in and they want to just let him walk, that's somewhat problematic. You go out there, you get an injury, maybe you're not at the top of the card, so now all of a sudden you're expendable and you're on your own with no source of income. Little messed up, just my opinion. We'll have to wait and see if this becomes the way they do things going forward for everybody, or if this is one of those things where, listen, his contract is up and the only way to continue to pay him would be to give him some kind of extension perhaps. But then again, if you think about it, these companies often will do injury extensions for time, for when you're out. And he's been out for a hot minute. So they should be extending him until he gets done his injury recuperation, just my opinion. If for no other reason, this is a company that's making money hand over fist. Look at the ticket prices that are out of control. And they can't pay a guy like this who, let's be honest, if you were giving him $1 million a year, you're still not hurting yourself all that much. So a little messed up on TKO's part, but a lot of things TKO does are not always on the up and up. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Conversation about Def Rebel, the company that produces many of the entrance music tracks for WWE superstars. Apparently, they are in the final portion of their contract with WWE. If you haven't noticed, a lot of other people have been bringing back former music. Shinsuke Nakamura, Street Profits, Kairi Sane. Several have wanted their old music brought back. And Def Rebel, it sounds like they may be on their way out. This might be the final tail end of their contract with WWE. It looks like WWE is much more preferential to working with outside stars, maybe some mainstream stars, creating music specifically for their wrestlers, which I think is fantastic. I really do. I think it'll bring a more of an organic feel to it, and the wrestlers seem to want more creative input over the kind of music they're walking out to. Now, some people love it. When you watch Rhea Ripley come out, you'll see her sometimes singing the lyrics to her songs and things like that when she comes to the ring. Some of the other people really enjoy their music, but it's not everybody. I think Roman Reigns' music is fantastic, but there are certain people that it just doesn't hit like it used to. So I'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Let's go ahead and get into the big conversation of the week. The Seth Rollins situation in WWE comes out of Crown Jewel champion. Monday Night Raw, basically the whole episode in terms of Seth Rollins was built around him talking about how he didn't need anybody and sowing the seeds of dissension within his own group. I think all of us out there, the way Triple H has been booking WWE for the last several months, have looked at this as Triple H doing the slow build. And I think everybody and their brother expecting something next year, probably the Raw after Mania or something like that, for the big split to happen there. And then based on what happened in the Crown Jewel match, when Seth Rollins hit the coast-to-coast headbutt, he took the brunt of the fall with his arms, and apparently there's some kind of issue with his arms. I've seen multiple reports today. All of them have something different that they're saying. One said he may need surgery. One group said that they think it's a torn rotator cuff. Somebody said a labrum. Somebody else said something. Like, there's all different reports. Let's wait and see what the official reports are. I don't want to report anything as being factual because I haven't seen or heard anything like that. But whatever it is, it sounds like most people believe it's a legitimate injury. Now, I know because of what they did around Money in the Bank, and the theory is this could be storyline. He didn't look all that hobbled when he went to the ring. But if you notice, he did wear very baggy clothes to maybe cover up the fact that he was seen with a sling on after the pay-per-view. So I'm going to keep calling it pay-per-view the rest of my life. PLE just doesn't always ring for me. But some people questioning whether it's a legitimate injury or not. Now, I don't know. Nobody knows. For real. We don't know how severe it is. It could be minor, could be major. We don't know. But the vibe that is coming out of TKO and WWE right now is that this is a legitimate injury, and it may actually impact WrestleMania plans because the Braun and Bronson Reed break-off split up they did at the end of Monday Night Raw was not supposed to take place until after Mania or sometime in 2026, and instead they had to speed that up and expedite the process because of the injury to Seth. Now, what I find fascinatingly strange about this situation is they still did the number one contenders match with Punk, LA Knight, and Jey Uso. And if he's going to be on the shelf for an extended period of time, we have Saturday night's main event in 2 weeks. Unless he's going to sign a waiver of some kind and go out there and perform with the injury, which would be insane. It's like Cody going out there with his muscle tear. More power to him if he does that. I just think that's a bad idea. He's almost like snakebit when it comes to some of these injuries he's had, and I really don't want to see him out any longer than he has to be. And then what do you do with the championship? I've seen people all day. I was listening to Busted Open on the way to where I'm at right now, and I heard people on Coach's show really debating what the options are. Some people saying, you could have Braun lead this faction, bring in there's rumors about Austin Theory coming in, and that would be the 3, and that way Braun would be the strong leader. I've heard people suggesting that Roman Reigns could take the lead again. I've seen some people suggest Brock Lesnar could take the lead again. I don't know. And then, of course, if it's Brock Lesnar, does he become the leader? And then you're playing second fiddle to Brock again. And does that lead to a Braun versus Brock match at Mania? That'd be very cool. Does Brock come in as the hired gun? So you could keep Braun in the main position and have Brock be a tertiary character who eventually gets upset with being the sidekick. And then he goes after Breakker. That's possible too. Some people have suggested that this is a method to get Seth and Roman back together for a tag team match with the Bronze. Not sure how I feel about that. I did see somebody else on that online talking about what they could do is go to SmackDown and they could jump Lesnar also, leading to Lesnar and Rollins versus the Bronze. I don't know where this is going to go, and I don't think I care. It's all interesting because of the injury to Seth Rollins. The WrestleMania 42 plan, as of right now, everybody seems to be reporting the same thing, that he was supposed to be headed to Mania to have a match with Roman Reigns, finally have that WrestleMania one-on-one moment with Roman Reigns, but that this injury is changing the plans, especially in regards to Braun Breakker. So, not sure how to feel about all this stuff. What I can tell you is it seems like everything is very much in flux. Everything is still in motion to try to figure something out. They have plenty of time to build war games. In theory, The Vision plus Brock Lesnar and potentially Austin Theory, the 5 of them were going to be at War Games in some kind of multi-man match. Obviously, that'll be off the table now if we're going to break up the Vision this early. So what do you do with War Games? Thankfully, we have time to build that. I'm more concerned with Saturday night's main event, but we'll have to wait and see what turns out. Somebody who will not be there is The Rock. The Rock is always controversial. People always wonder what The Rock's going to do. Is he going to screw up plans or not screw up plans? But apparently he is back to filming his next blockbuster film, which is a follow-up film, another film in the Jumanji franchise. He just finished The Smashing Machine, not doing so well in the box office, and he's going back to what he knows best. He's going back to the comedy Jumanji franchise, and that's going to probably tie him up for the foreseeable future, which means it's going to be very difficult to see him in any kind of wrestling capacity this coming WrestleMania. However, everybody knows Saudi Arabia's got the following WrestleMania, and you know they're going to pay anything they have to pay to get whoever they want to get to be at that show. So we'll have to wait and see how this turns out. I think we don't see The Rock again until 2027. I really don't think we see him till then. If we do, I don't think it's going to be a wrestling appearance. Maybe just a show up to like pop the crowd or something. But I don't think he's going to be wrestling until 2027. And at some point, he's at his age, how many more of these does he have in him? I mean, it's really, I really don't know how much longer he can do this. Conversations about Stone Cold being at that show. Can they pay John Cena enough money to come back for one final match kind of stuff? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. He's always said that wasn't going to be the case, so I think that would be disingenuous if he did. Do they pay AJ Styles a huge ton of money to have the Styles versus Shawn Michaels match? I saw that proposed somewhere at some point. So, not sure. We'll have to wait and see how these things go. But in terms of how business is going right now, Triple H has an interesting take on what the other stuff from Crown Jewel is. Specifically, he used the quote, "a love letter to pro wrestling" when he described the AJ Styles-John Cena match. I thought it was everything you needed it to be. I really do. I thought it was fantastic. Phenomenal match, no pun intended. All the shout-outs. And a lot of people keep talking about John Cena and the move sequences that he was doing in honor of his former opponents. But AJ Styles was doing like a who's who of TNA talents and their moves, the people he's encountered throughout his TNA career, which I thought was so wonderfully creative on both of their parts to find a way to wrap all that in there. What a great match. It was absolutely phenomenal to see and something really enjoyable. But it wasn't the only thing WWE was working with in terms of phenomenal matches over the weekend. TNA had Bound for Glory, and WWE apparently was heavily involved in booking Bound for Glory. Specifically, the one that's controversial is the fact that they got involved in the Javon Evans X Division Championship opportunity with Leon Slater. The match went about 20 minutes long. It was a draw. They ended up restarting the match only to have Dark State appear and attack the two of them, which apparently is going to pay off with like a match at NXT at some point. I understand doing all that. You could have done that after a finish. And I don't care who wins or loses. Heck, you could have had any number of finishes to this match that would have sent the people home happy. This apparently really, this created almost like nuclear heat, like really poor heat for TNA, and not at the wrestlers. The fans loved both wrestlers, Leon Slater and Javon Evans. They tore the house down. Again, a potential match of the year candidate, but fans were upset with the booking. They were upset with TNA and they were upset with WWE, and they probably have a right to be, because that match should have had a finish of some kind, even if it was a simple roll-up. Nobody loses anything character development-wise if you lose to what Simon Miller on What Culture always calls the most powerful move in pro wrestling, the small package roll-up or whatever. They could have done something like that just to get out of the match, and then had Dark State attack and still had your tag team match. I thought this was a horrible idea the way they planned it. But we can't talk about that show and not touch on a couple other things. One, absolutely the right decision, putting the TNA World Championship on Mike Santana. I thought that was a phenomenal moment, wonderful opportunity to see how far Mike Santana has come. He's the right guy to carry the brand. Now, of course, his contract is going to be expiring soon. We're going to get into some contract conversation in a few minutes. But right after some of the challengers that are going to be coming for him, Nick Nemeth, Frankie Kazarian, are clearly going to be on the list of guys who want to get their first crack at the new champion. I think it was a great idea to put the championship on him. I think had they done this a couple months ago, you would have felt the traction a little bit better. I think that would have been a great idea, but they chose to go a different direction. The rest of the card was pretty solid too, but I want to speak specifically about the match that I think when you look backwards at Bound for Glory 2025. It's the only match people are going to look back at and really, really look back with fond memories. And that is for the last time, the Dudleys versus the Hardys. What an incredible, going into the match, like, I had no expectations. I know Devon's had some medical concerns in the last couple of years, back surgery, things like that, some heart issues at one point a few years back. I know that Matt and Jeff clearly have lost a step over the years, especially Matt has bone-on-bone issues in his one hip. To be quite frank, I think Bubba Ray is in the best shape of any of the four guys and could probably go out there and work a semi-full-time schedule if he chose to, but at this stage of his career, very much wrapped up in Busted Open, so I didn't know how long he was going to keep doing it. Now, with the match itself, far exceeded anybody's expectations. They did a great job. They told a great story, and I love that. What was really emotional was seeing the end of the match where the Hardys win the match, retain their championship, and then you see the Dudleys stop them from leaving the ring. They take off their boots and they turn them over to the Hardy Boys. The Dudleys take off their boots, hand them to the Hardy Boys, and it is them walking away from the business. Now, I don't know if Bubba Ray's totally leaving the business or if this is just the last appearance of the Dudley Boys. I really hope we don't lose Bubba Ray. I love his stuff. Even as a single star, I love everything Bubba does. He's incredible. But if he is hanging it up, like, mad respect. What an incredible career for both of them. Bubba, Devon, both of them. The Hardys going out there, and they turned the clock back in this match. They really did. And even more impressive to me is the fact that the Hardys, the day before, won the House of Glory Tag Team Championship, and one of the most, popular independent company tag team championships along the way. So they're now rocking the House of Glory, the NXT, and the TNA World Tag Team Championships. This is reminiscent of when, right before they returned to WWE last time, when they were winning all these independent championships when they were with TNA last time. But now they walk out as champions. They have that incredibly emotional moment with the Dudleys. What a beautiful moment for professional wrestling fans, people who love these guys, who've seen these guys for all these years. And it was just such a testament to, and such an honor to watch. It's a testament to all that they've been through, all the experience they've shared. The only thing that would have made it better is if Edge and Christian could have been there. And I really thought maybe they could have been in the back and not have been on camera. Like that's something they really probably should have been there for. And if Tony Khan wouldn't have let them do that, that would just tell you how much of a scumbag he would have been. I actually think he would have let them, just like they had, Lex Luger, Dallas Page, and stuff like that at Stings. I think he would have done that. I think it would have been special. And I maybe we'll never know. Maybe they were there. I don't know. I really hope they were. And if not, I certainly hope they got a chance to see the match and catch up on a phone call or a Zoom or something so they can just reminisce and take it all in, because that was absolutely beautiful. Before we switch gears out of TNA, some contracts come and due. I mean, look, in 2025, it's been a crazy year for TNA. In 2024, they say they lost Josh Alexander, Speedball Mike Bailey, Rhino, Kushida, Jade Chung, Jordan Grace ended up going to WWE. There's been all these people who've transitioned to WWE or elsewhere. It's been well publicized that the Hardys and the Inspiration, the current TNA World Tag Team Champions and the Knockouts Tag Team Champions, have their contracts all coming due now, and that they're hoping to retain both of them. It's probably why they let them keep their championships. But it's not just them. The Rascals, Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz, who, well, I'll get to that in a minute. Their contracts are coming up. Right now, this is the perfect time for them to re-sign, because TNA needs them. They need a strong tag division. And they may be the team that could eventually take the belts off of the Hardys, especially now, because we've had this conversation coming in as part of this episode as well. With all the WWE cuts that have taken place, Wes Lee, released by WWE, could easily go back and rejoin the Rascals and team with Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz once again, which I think would be a great idea. Flip him back to his old character and let them rekindle what they used to have. I think it'd be a great idea. One person Dave Meltzer reported on who recently left TNA was Laredo Kid, who now he is saying he suspects that he is going to be working with WWE through AAA, and that this could be an opportunity for Laredo Kid to make his debut with WWE. Absolutely could be a thing. And the one person that they made mention of whose contract is coming due soon is Cedric Alexander, who's the one guy who they didn't reference with possibly going to WWE because he has so many ties with the Hurt Syndicate in AEW. Not sure where he's going to go. Maybe he goes that route, maybe not. But either way, he's going to have options, which is a beautiful thing. One person who is not going anywhere, shockingly, after what we have talked about in the past, Santos Escobar. His contract expired with WWE. He was a free agent for all of about 24 hours before he re-signed with WWE on a more lucrative contract. According to Fightful Select, it was for quote-unquote great money, which is very inspiring for other people who go to, I mean, let's think about it. Santos Escobar, what is his role in WWE? How important is he to the talent pool? If he got a great contract, think about what some of the really great performers are going to get. Not that he isn't. I'm not trying to knock Santos Escobar. He just doesn't seem to be as appreciated as he probably should be by WWE. Incredible talent, just not pushed as high as he could be. Think about the ones who are. So this is a good sign. If you're somebody who's looking to re-sign your contract with them, maybe get some good cash. And apparently Escobar did, which is beautiful. Some people who are not doing so well. They announced that like 9 different people were released the other day from WWE. Many of them were LFG people. One of those talents is Jin Tala, who that's the one actually that surprised me the most. Wesley didn't surprise me. Some of the other people didn't really surprise me. The one that kind of surprised me, Jin Tala, because I thought she did such a great job on LFG. If you didn't watch season 1 of LFG, you missed out. She was doing great. She was over in Evolve. She was doing a great job there. She was one of the ID talents. It's really a shame to see her go. I think they missed an opportunity with her because she is somebody who brings a fresh perspective to her demographic, which I think is really powerful and really could have been motivating for some people because we've kind of been lockstep with certain people. But she's been challenging for the Evolve Women's Championship. It's one of those things where she's released a statement. She's planning to continue her pro wrestling career. Her wrestling name will be Lee Laurel now, and she's not sure where she's headed. She has a 30-day non-compete clause, but once that's up, I would not be surprised to see her in some of the stronger independents, the MLWs, the House of Glories, maybe even an AEW or a TNA. Could easily happen. We'll have to wait and see. In terms of other new talent, let's go that route. Sting's son, Steve Borden Jr., made his debut over the weekend, and the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer, touched on his debut and basically comparing him to his father's debut and saying he may have been better than his dad was, which is kind of an unfair comparison. And he actually notes later on about this that when Sting debuted, he only had been training for a few weeks. He was in a gym, Jim Hellwig and 2 other gentlemen, Power Team USA. They were just trying to grab a few guys, and then they end up in Memphis, where the 2 of the Sting and Warrior end up becoming a thing. They transitioned to becoming heels eventually. Sting and Rock, that was the Warrior's first name, before they go to the UWF, and then they split up, and Warrior becomes Dingo Warrior, and Sting goes off and does his own thing. But back then, Sting was not very polished, very, very green, turned into one of the greatest wrestlers in wrestling history. His son apparently doing, as good or better than his dad did when he debuted. So maybe that's a sign of some beautiful things to come. What I don't need to see ever again, but I'm sure we all will because they're pushing him in the right way, and he probably is one of the futures of the business. World Wrestling Entertainment's Intercontinental Champion and AAA Mega Champion Dominic Mysterio showing off his brand new tattoo all over his throat, a lucha mask. People have joked about like some of the worst tattoo ideas in the history of pro wrestling, Cody Rhodes' neck tattoo and things like that. There was one time where Randy Orton had a legal dispute over his tattoos because of a lawsuit and whatever, when there was figures being made and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of crazy. Dominic Mysterio getting this thing on his throat, that had to hurt to like the Dickens. And it's so big and so obtrusive, but whatever. To each his own. That's his thing. But now WWE, if they had any figures in the pipeline, they're gonna have to add the tattoo because it looks very, very different. I'm just saying. Keep your eye out. It was on there you could see it on Raw, but he's got pictures on Instagram and Facebook or Twitter, whatever. Check it all out if you want to see the tat. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us next episode. We run down the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks, as always, to Suno AI for generating the music and sound effects we use in the show. Today's show is sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bring a new friend to family game night. It's easy with Sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side from this by picking up your copy of Let me back up. That whole thing is terrible. Sketchy people, showcase your artistic side in this game from Beazle Games, that's the maker, by going to thegamecrafter.com and pick up your copy today. Very artistic game, creative stuff, great for 5, 6, 8 people. Grab a copy of Sketchy People, available now on thegamecrafter.com. And if you're looking for your next career move, you're considering college, university life, maybe you just need some formal training for your next career decision, go to our website at frolifeplanning.com. That's FROLifeplanning.com for all your higher educations, life planning, career consultation needs, as Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Dr. Fro. I want to thank you for taking some time with us tonight. Till next time, take care. Have a great night, everybody.
Wrestling Podcast.